All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you're new. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you so much, as always, for waiting patiently for the intro to finish up there. See, we already have some interesting conversations taking place in the chat. Yes, Corey, indeed, life is rough. I just had to reply to that because already you guys somehow are talking about me consuming some cat treats. We hit 150 members. I will eat a cat treat. Am I being serious, though? I don't know. I don't even know if I'm being serious. But yeah, thank you guys for being here today. We have some more PlayStation-related topics to go over and talk about. Let me see how many topics I have here. I'm not going to list them in order. I actually have a topic in here that's, I mean, I guess it's technically PlayStation related, but it was just more of something that I came across randomly that I think you guys would be interested in hearing about because it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, there's always just a myriad of ridiculous nonsense occurring every day, but this is something that, again, I just want to point out because it's pretty laughable, I think. But yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have like 4 main topics that I want to talk about, and we have like a 5th and 6th bonus topic here that if we do have enough time, which we should have enough time, if I don't, get caught up in another conversation or topic that we're going to talk about, we should be able to get through all 6. Titus says, clip it, boys. I'll eat a cat treat at 100 members. Hey, I said 150 members. All right. 100 members is great. But for a cat treat? Jay Shako, what is this? What is this link you're sending in the chat right now? IP Gaming, you're saying, I missed your Sunday stream, MBG, but I will be watching it later. I'm glad to catch the stream live with you today, though. Hope your weekend was good. Well, thank you for that, IP Gaming. My weekend was okay. It wasn't like bad or anything. It just wasn't, it was fine. It was a fine weekend. And I'm glad you can join the stream today. Yeah, no way, Chris. No way. Saying I'm going to eat the cat treat for free just to do it? No way. Not something like that. Like I said, these cat treats that I bought for Boss, I would say Boss and Leia, but Leia doesn't eat treats. They smell kind of like McDonald's. I'm like, there has to be a reason why Boss is so addicted to these treats. And it's like, do they taste like McDonald's? Is that it? It's good for the spleen, yeah. All right, so guys, listen, before we dive into today's topics, once again, I just want to thank everybody for watching. If you're tuning in live, big shout out to you guys. Thank you for watching the live streams and supporting them. If you can't catch the live streams, but you still watch them, whether it's in small chunks or in their entirety, or somebody who watches it after the fact, shout out to you as well. Really appreciate the viewership and the support. Do me a favor and hit that like button. We're currently sitting at 50 likes. Let's see if we can get that to 75. And, it helps with YouTube's algorithm. But more importantly, it just lets me know that you guys enjoy the content and enjoy the streams. There are 3 ways you can support. Well, actually, technically 4 ways now you can support my content directly. I do want to once again emphasize that the channel is fully fan-funded. We don't really do sponsorships here. I don't run a bunch of ads while I'm doing the live streams. So there are 3 ways you can support me here on YouTube and 1 way outside of YouTube. First, consider becoming a channel member. You gain access to some exclusive perks such as the Members Lounge. We will be doing a Members Lounge after today's regular stream ends. So if you are a channel member, look forward to that. If you receive a membership gift, make sure you tune into that. If you are already a channel member, please consider gifting some channel memberships. It is a big thing we do here with the community. A lot of people get involved. A lot of people I know are very appreciative of receiving those membership gifts. And again, it helps the channel tremendously. And last but certainly not least, consider donating a super chat. Ask a question, give an opinion, make a statement, anything in between. It helps a lot. Now, there is a fourth way you can help support the channel if you're interested. I have the link in the pinned comment in the chat. It's just a direct donation link through Streamlabs. So if that's, it's like an alternative way for you to donate and support the channel, and 100% of it goes towards the content creator. So if you're interested, go check that out. Again, it's in the pinned comment. I also want to say, before getting into these topics, I've seen some people asking me to cover the rumor about Sony possibly in talks to acquire Paramount. And I did see this, I did come across this, and the reason why I haven't covered this yet, and the reason why I haven't talked about it, is because, well, honestly, it's another major acquisition rumor. And for those who've been following this type of stuff for some time, you know that these major acquisition rumors, they're not really the types of rumors that I think are worth reporting on, unless there is like a huge amount of just a huge amount of substance to them, right? Like if they really start to catch on, and people with reputations and people with something to lose start backing up these rumors, then maybe it's worth covering and talking about. But when it comes to this rumor about Sony acquiring Paramount, I haven't really seen too much on it in terms of like sourcing. It's just kind of one of these things that seemingly popped up. And again, when it comes to acquisitions of any kind, but especially the major acquisitions, you never really know whether or not you can believe them, because even if the rumors are true and there are negotiations taking place with major acquisitions, they can fall apart at any moment. You know, they can get very close to the finish line and something can go wrong. In fact, even the very nature of something like that, like leaking out, could be enough to destroy it. Jay Shaka, you're saying it isn't a rumor. Could you elaborate on that? Are you sure? I'm pretty sure that it's a rumor. I don't think if it's, in this case, hold on. There's a misunderstanding here then on my part. Let me see. I want to double check this before I proceed, just to make sure. Yeah, it says here Sony Pictures Entertainment is reportedly teaming up with investment firm Apollo Global Management to acquire media giant Paramount. According to the New York Times, Sony has yet to officially submit a bid, as Paramount is exclusively in talks with Skydance for a deal, but investors are significantly pushing back on a potential deal with Skydance, leaving the door open for other companies. So it's a claim. It's a claim. It's a report coming from the New York Times. This is what the New York Times is claiming. So it still does fall under rumor territory. I mean, you could say the source is good in this case, the New York Times, but still, I would just be careful with stuff like this, because no matter how good the source is, ultimately, these things are a mystery. You know, the reality is, even people within the company won't know if an acquisition actually happens until it actually happens. So if we hear anything more on it, though, or it seems like Sony is actually getting ready to make a bid, or if they do, I'll obviously talk more about that. But that would be huge for Sony as a whole. I mean, what that would mean for PlayStation, I have to think harder about that one. But what's funny, though, is that Paramount, they do the Halo TV show, don't they? That's funny. Man, how weird would that be? That'd be very weird. Sony is now producing the Halo TV show or TV series on Paramount Plus, I think is the name of the... Yeah, that'd be so weird. But we have Josh Z here kicking it off with a $10 super chat. Josh, really appreciate that, man. You're saying, why are YouTubers still focused on Rebirth not selling as well? That was always going to happen because it's part of a trilogy and on a console with an install base much smaller than PS4. So stupid. Well, if I had to guess, well, first off, Josh, I haven't been watching many other YouTubers, so I can't really speak to who is still talking about this. But when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, to me, it basically comes down to exactly what you're saying. The install base. When Final Fantasy VII Remake released, there were literally double the amount of PlayStation 4s on the market, double the amount of potential customers. And it did pretty well, right? Like, it did fairly well. I think it took FF7 Remake three years or so to hit like the 7 million or 8 million sold mark, something along those lines. So it had a tail as well. Like, it continued to sell afterwards. I just think that, coupled with the fact that Rebirth is a sequel that pretty much demands you play the first one. I mean, you can play Rebirth without playing Remake, of course. Like, there's no rule saying you can't do that. But you really would have to question why somebody would feel compelled to do that. I mean, I don't know of many people that would be willing to jump into what could be a 100-hour RPG that's positioned very much as a sequel to another, to the first part of this massive RPG that's being remade. I really don't know that many people would dive in headfirst that way. I think a lot of people would feel like they have to play the first one. And honestly, the truth is, because it's a sequel, I think inherently some people are automatically just, it's not going to be a game they play, even if they did play the first one. But I think especially for people who didn't play the first one, so you combine that again with the install base being cut in half, it was always a guarantee that Rebirth was going to sell less. However, I think what you might be referring to here, Josh, is people who are talking about it very much so in bad faith when it comes to the partnership with PlayStation, right? We know that Final Fantasy for a while now has been very much associated with PlayStation exclusivity. And I think that there are just some people who don't like that. I think that there's some people who don't like to see Final Fantasy being exclusive to PlayStation. They don't like the third-party deal that Sony has with Square Enix. And they, I think, will take an opportunity like this to really kind of highlight that. And again, it's like, hey, see, you partner with Sony, you're selling your game to half the install base that you did prior to the PS4, plus you're cutting out Xbox, plus you're cutting out PC, at least for now. Yeah, I think especially during a time like this, right? You see what's going on in the industry. The conversation surrounding video game exclusivity is honestly, it's more all over the place than it ever has been. And that's not just because of speculation. That's because of things that are actually occurring and happening. And so I think this has just led to a natural outcome of when we hear that Rebirth is maybe not selling as well, it's going to bleed in directly to a lot of these other conversations, and everybody has their opinions. Do I think Rebirth is underperforming? I think it probably is. Yeah, it seems like it is underperforming. But then again, as people have pointed out, Square Enix has seemingly always had relatively unrealistic expectations for how their games are going to perform. And people have actually criticized Square Enix for this, where they're like, yo, your expectations are way too high. Like, they're just not realistic. They're like not attainable. And so you have to factor that in. What I will say is I don't know when Square Enix does their earnings report. Let me see. It should be doing their yearly earnings. Hold on. Square Enix 2024 earnings report. Did they do their yearly earnings already? Well, whether they did their annual report or not, we will be hearing from them at some point. And so the next time we hear from Square Enix and their earnings, they're going to talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's performance. And we should. I don't know if it's failing. I don't think they're just going to flat out say like, yeah, it's underperforming and it's doing badly. Sorry, I don't think they're going to do that. But I think that we might get a hint or some idea of how it may be performing. At least that's my expectation. So I get where you're coming from, Josh. The conversation around Rebirth and how it's selling, I think at this point in time, it's clear we just have to wait to get more actual information and data before we can come to any conclusions. Because I think anything that anybody tries to say now definitively, we're doing so with, again, limited amounts of information, and all we can do is speculate. And so I guess just pick your side. Is it a failure? Is it a success? Is it just doing okay? If I had to guess, I think it's probably doing okay. I don't think it's... I would doubt it's a complete failure. I'd say it's probably doing okay. And Josh, you're saying the conversation around exclusivity is toxic. I mean, it can be very toxic. I think that there can be just perfectly fine conversations around exclusivity, like even interesting conversations around it. But I think that some people, they jump to such extreme ends of a conversation that it's like, all right, well, how far are we going to go here? Yeah, that's true as well, Silent Spartan. You're saying it hasn't gone on sale yet, which tells you that it's doing fine. That's a good point. Yeah, usually if a game is really struggling, really struggling, it will go on sale very quickly, especially AAA games. So we'll see. We'll see. When I hear more about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and how it's performing, I'll be sure to report it to you guys and talk about it. Yeah, a very similar thing occurred with Final Fantasy 16 as well, which was unfortunate. It seems like it took away from the overall conversation around the game. So again, appreciate that super chat, Josh. We are going to dive into the first topic here, which talks about another PlayStation 5 game getting a 40 FPS update on the PS5. And I wanted to highlight this because I feel like it's actually relatively rare that we see specifically a third-party AAA game come out and get patched and offer a 40 FPS mode, which is essentially playing it in fidelity mode and getting a 10 plus 10 frames, basically, bumping up from the 30 FPS to the 40. The reason why I wanted to highlight this is, well, again, because it's so rare that we see this, but also because it's hopefully something we will see more of, especially with something like the PS5 Pro coming out. I would like to see more developers embrace this, but this is being reported by Push Square. They say Avatar Frontiers of Pandora has been updated to support a new graphical mode running at 40 frames per second while boasting higher resolutions. Available to download now on PS5 as part of patch 3.2, the mode can be used on 4K TVs that support up to 120 Hz. Prior to this, Avatar PS5 only had a quality and performance mode, but this new option looks to feature the best of both worlds after the 2.4 gigabyte download. Despite being fairly sought after by the hardcore community, 40 FPS modes have been a rarity throughout the PS5 era. Insomniac Games essentially introduced them, with Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales later patching the option into Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and shipping with it in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. You'll also find 40 FPS modes in other PS5 titles like Hogwarts Legacy, Lies of P, and God of War Ragnarok. There are also some other things they added with this update, obviously like bug fixes and whatnot. But, I just want to kind of give a little shout out. This isn't a game I played. I don't know. Have any of you guys played Avatar Frontiers of Pandora? This was a game that came out in December. And, well, I'm not a fan of the Avatar series. It just doesn't appeal to me. I heard it was actually pretty good. A lot of people basically describe this game as, Far Cry, but with an Avatar skin over it, which I guess isn't a bad thing because the Far Cry games are actually pretty good. iCrusty, you're saying it's bad, really? But yeah, I do at least want to give them a shout out and give them credit for, and it's worth noting that this is also available on the Xbox version as well. It's not like an exclusive 40 FPS mode for PS5, but I mean, I'm assuming most of you here play on PS5, so it's probably more relevant to that side of it. But I hope that we continue to see more 40 FPS performance modes, hopefully shipping with AAA games that offer like a fidelity mode. Because anybody who's played in the 40 FPS mode, I did play Spider-Man 2 actually in the 40 FPS mode for a little while, and I was quite surprised. I mean, you could tell it's not perfect. You know, it's not as smooth as having 60 FPS. You know, it's 20 frames less, but it is just enough above 30. Like, you might think, oh, 10 frames, does it really make that big of a difference? It actually does. Like, it's a pretty substantial difference maker in that if you play a game in fidelity mode at 40 FPS, I mean, again, you will notice it, but it runs much better. Like, it feels much better than you would think. And I think that this is why a lot of people have expressed a desire to see more developers kind of support this 40 FPS mode, because it feels like the perfect compromise where, okay, if we can't get 60 FPS in the fidelity mode, that's just not possible. Can you offer 40? Because 40 is pretty good too, right? To where it's certainly better than 30. And so, yeah, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Wonder how this game performed also. I mean, this is a pretty big AAA game from what I can tell. Again, I feel like it just kind of released randomly in December, and I don't recall many people talking about it. But at least Ubisoft is going back to support it the way that they should, adding some nice features. I forgot that Hogwarts Legacy also shipped with the 40 FPS mode. So yeah, just wanted to let you guys know about this. Let me know. Let me know if this is something that you want to see more of. You know, you see Morty. You want to see Morty. You want to see more 40 FPS modes introduced to these AAA games. But I want to move on to the next topic here. Some of these topics we're going to go through pretty quickly because there's just really nothing going on. Oh, before I get into the next topic, let me go on this little side quest here for a moment, actually. I have a theory. I've been talking to you guys, and I'm sure you've noticed as well, like, man, gaming news, and I'm not complaining, it's something I've been observing, where gaming news is really, really slow right now. It's basically non-existent, especially with PlayStation. PlayStation has, like, not really been doing anything. And I was thinking, this is kind of strange. Like, I've been following the gaming news cycle for many years now, and something right now feels a little bit different than normal. And what feels different is the silence and the low tide, so to speak, is even like it's just like quieter than it's ever been. I'm like, this is kind of creepy. Like, what's going on here? It's never really lasted for this long. It's been going on, I think, like 3+ weeks now. And I realized what's going on. I realized what's happening. Now, again, this is my theory, but I think it actually makes a lot of sense. So we know that 2024 has been a very bad year for the video game industry. 2024 has been filled with, don't get me wrong, we've had some great game releases. I'm not talking about that side of it. We've seen some great games up until this point, but generally speaking, the industry is in turmoil. We've been seeing a lot of layoffs. We've been seeing these video game companies basically shrinking down and entering survival mode, or, you know, taking cost-cutting measures, and it just hasn't been good. And I realized that we are at that point where I think in the next week, or in the next 1 to 3 weeks, we're going to see multiple companies giving their yearly, annual earnings. And I think it's safe to say that most of these companies, including Sony, are going to miss targets. And it's going to be a lot of bad news. Not all bad news, but it's going to be less than ideal. I think we're going to see a lot of missed targets, a lot of things down, and I think it's going to cause quite a bit of panic when it comes to shareholders. And I think you're going to see a lot of shareholders reacting negatively. And obviously, these companies don't want that to happen. So I was just thinking, so what do you do? What do you do? Here's what you do. Anything you have that could be perceived as good news, you save it. You hold on to it. You wait until the earnings reports are out. The bad news is out there. Hey, it was a really rough fiscal year for gaming. We didn't hit our targets. It's not a great look, but we're going to get back on track. And they know that the shareholders are going to panic. So you save your good news, no matter how small or how big it might be, you have it ready to go like a shotgun blast as soon as that yearly earnings report is out there. I don't know, it just kind of hit me. I'm like, why is everybody being so quiet? Why is it getting this? Why are the waters getting this calm, right? Like, it's a little strange. And then it just kind of, again, it just hit me randomly. We're like, well, that's why. Because we're about to see a bunch of video game companies come out and announce to their shareholders that, things are not looking great right now. We're in some turmoil. So they're going to want to mitigate that by having some good news immediately after. The good news is not just going to be for us, the gamers and the fans. It's also going to be for the shareholders as well, to make sure they don't panic and leave. You're saying there's a new Stellar Blade video doc out. I'm not going to, so I don't, maybe we can react to that as a bonus. Maybe we'll do that in the members lounge. But right now I want to try to just make sure I stay on topic. But I wanted to just throw that in there. You guys can tell me what you think. Do you think, do you think I have a good theory here, or do you think that I'm just reaching? Let me know. But I want to move on to the next proper topic here, which is, again, something I'm not going to talk about too much, and I just randomly came across it. PlayStation Lifestyle is reporting Tomb Raider Remastered update quietly censors the game. A recent Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered update quietly censored the game, much to the chagrin of some players. An April 11th update patch came out, and the patch notes neglected to mention that Aspyr has taken out the pinup posters of Lara Croft, but it didn't take players long to notice that they were gone, resulting in backlash. As noted in the Tomb Raider subreddit and by a large number of players across social media, the update removed pinup posters of Lara Croft in the locker room seen in the Sleeping with the Fishes level of Tomb Raider 3, The Lost Artifact. Those using the original graphics can see pixelated posters, but switching up the graphics sees those posters gone completely. It's unclear if the decision was made by developer Aspyr, Crystal Dynamics, or both. Nevertheless, it's Crystal Dynamics that has come under fire for the move, likely because the studio famously made a statement against the original game's offensive content. Nevertheless, taking the posters out in a post-launch update is a peculiar choice. The decision doesn't impact the game, but players have expressed concerns that the content was removed without any notice after they'd already purchased the remaster collection. And so I'm looking at the picture here, and just to clarify, these it's so funny because the graphics are just not good. Well, I mean, it's not that they're bad, it's just they're old, they're outdated graphics. I'm looking at these pinup posters that were removed, and they're not even bad, dude. Like, she's not nude or anything. Well, I mean, maybe in one of them it looks like she's laying flat, and I guess she's not wearing a top, but you can't see anything, and they're really not bad at all. And in fact, they're a little bit funny, actually. And this is just like where we are now, where we're seeing these video game companies going back with these games and be like, yeah, we have to remove this, like, and label it as offensive. Like, are you kidding me? This is why people are becoming so vocal on the internet about this stuff. And and getting frustrated because this is totally and completely nonsensical. It really is. I'm going to see if I can give me 1 second here. If my computer lets me. See if I can just show you this picture. Unless my computer decides to censor it as well. Look. This is the image. As you can see, after the update, these two pinup posters were removed. Like, imagine that, dude. Imagine that, like, somebody or maybe multiple people at this company were like, we need to take these posters down. They're pretty offensive, you know? I know. Space Gambler, I know. That's what makes it so nonsensical, is that these are the pinup posters in question here. And that's why when I came across this article, I had to click on it and look into it, because I'm like, you know, people already don't like censorship in games, but especially when you're going back to older games and actively removing stuff or changing stuff. And so I thought it was going to have to be something pretty serious, right? And this is what it was. And it's like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing, man? Like, this is just a sad, sad situation. But I wanted to make sure to show it to you, because I feel like me trying to describe what they look like wouldn't do it justice. You got to see for yourself how ridiculous it actually is that these developers went back, the publisher went back and said, take this out of the game. This is offensive. Look at how offensive it is. So bizarre, man. Like, what is going on in 2024? Strange times. We have a New Soul 9 here with a $10 super chat. New Soul, thank you so much for that, buddy. You're saying here, after watching Deadpool and Wolverine trailer, I hope they include Deadpool in Marvel's Wolverine or in a DLC. Also, Sony should show a new trailer at the May showcase while everyone has Wolverine on their brains, on their minds. Yeah. Before I answer or respond to your super chat, New Soul, I just want to acknowledge B. Flesher. I did see that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to do like a deep dive into, you know, what's going on with Crystal Dynamics and Tomb Raider and but yeah, I did see some of that, and I'm just like shaking my head. Like, what are you guys doing? It feels like they're purposely trying to find a way to outrage people, you know, or cause outrage or pushback or backlash of some kind. But New Soul 9, yeah. So, the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer released yesterday. I watched it. I was very excited for it after a while. I mean, I was already excited for this movie, but after seeing that trailer, it's like, yeah, this movie looks like it's going to be exactly what I want. It's really awesome to see Hugh Jackman come back as Wolverine. I mean, of course, some people were like, oh, I thought he was done after Logan, and of course that was the perfect send-off, but I feel like him coming back for a movie like this to team up with Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, it's like, I mean, they're really good friends in real life, so it's like, yeah, to me, this is a perfect movie that's being made here, and that trailer got me super hyped. When I saw the beginning of that trailer, it showed Logan sitting at a bar, you know, kind of his back facing the camera, and it looked so similar to, well, I mean, previous shots, like if you go back to X-Men 1, you know, they had Logan in the bar, of course, but it really reminded me of the Wolverine PS5 teaser trailer that they put out, and I'm like, yeah, it would be very smart, I think, of Sony, like if they want to build hype for Wolverine, truthfully, like if they want to kind of make sure they can keep people as excited for this game as they possibly can. This movie's coming out in July. It's clear after seeing the trailer for it come out yesterday that the marketing for it is going to really ramp up now. I think this would be a really ideal time for Sony to show more of Wolverine, and like you're saying, just kind of put more of it out there in front of people's faces while Wolverine is on their minds. I think there could be some great synergy between the Deadpool and Wolverine movie and Sony, again, seizing this opportunity to be like, hey, just a reminder, we're making this Wolverine game. Do I think Deadpool's going to be in the Wolverine game? I don't think so. But like you're saying, maybe with some DLC, that would actually be very interesting. Yeah, I agree. Irfan, I saw it. Yeah, I'm really excited. Like, I'm really, really excited. I hope that Deadpool and Wolverine does very well, so that Disney and Marvel get the message that, like, hey, some of your more recent movies haven't done that well. And they haven't done that well because I don't think people were really asking for these types of movies. They want to see something more appealing. And I think Deadpool and Wolverine is exactly what a lot of people want. And there's a lot of talk that this Deadpool and Wolverine movie could save the MCU, which has been kind of floundering as of late. And I'm in agreement. I'm like, yeah, this is the moment. Listen to the fans, man. Like, it's not that hard. Just listen to what the fans want. And when you do that, they'll support it. You'll get money from the fans, and everybody can be happy. I pretty much never go to the movie theaters anymore. It's very, very, very rare I ever go to the movie theater. For this movie, though, for Deadpool and Wolverine, I will absolutely be seeing that in theaters. For sure. Oh, and I also want to say, New Soul 9, before I move on to the next super chat, I want, this is the type of Logan and Wolverine that I want to see in the PS5 game. You know, a really just, I want to see the Logan version, but it was also cool to see this version of Wolverine where he's in the classic suit, and I think he's coming from like a different universe where Wolverine didn't die. And so, but it's keeping that same like really gruff and kind of like FU energy, because that's very much what Wolverine is like. That's what he's about. And I really hope that that's also the type of Wolverine we get in the PS5 game. Because again, like that to me is what Wolverine's character is. That's what makes him cool, in my opinion. He's badass. People like that. So we will see, man. We will see. I will say too, one of the things that's going to be difficult with the Wolverine PS5 game, and I remember when it was first announced, so many people were like, "Please get Hugh Jackman to be Wolverine in this game." And that's obviously not going to happen. It's not going to be based on Hugh Jackman's likeness. He's not going to be voicing Wolverine. But I will say, for pretty much my entire life, I grew up watching Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I do see him as Wolverine, So we'll see. We'll see how they can handle the game. Really appreciate that super chat, New Soul 9. We have Michael Lynch here with a $5 chat saying, Xbox is the WNBA of gaming. Not very many people buy their product. If they aren't careful, Xbox will be the subject of Bill Burr's next stand-up. Damn. Michael Lynch not holding back here. That would be pretty funny, though. Could you imagine the next Bill Burr stand-up? His new Netflix special. There's a whole segment dedicated to Xbox. That would be pretty wild, but Michael, I do get what you're saying. It's an interesting comparison, but I don't think you're far off the mark. I do think that Xbox, as I've said before, Xbox as a console is going to fall in a category of it's not going to be for everyone, and it's not going to try to be for everyone. It's going to be for a certain group of people, a certain demographic, and I think Microsoft is going to be completely okay with that, with their audience, their customer base for the actual Xbox console being relatively small or smaller, at least compared to maybe the competition in the long run. I think it's been kind of headed that way for a long time, and I think what we're seeing now is Microsoft just truly for the first time since they introduced the original Xbox console, embracing that and saying that, you know what, this is okay. We can live with this. We're okay with this. And what I think we're ultimately going to see with Xbox is if we look at what happened with Microsoft and Windows Phone, a somewhat similar situation happened where Windows Phone couldn't really gain much traction. I think the most they ever gained was like 2 or 3% market share, but they couldn't get further than that. And at some point, Microsoft just pulled the plug and stopped making Windows Phone. And they just started to put all their stuff on Android and Apple. And there was still like a core group of Windows Phone users that were like devastated that they did that. They were like, Microsoft, like, could you at least just make a Windows Phone just for us? We'll still buy it. And they were like, no, sorry. I think Microsoft has learned since then. And I'm not saying Xbox is in the same situation because it's not. It's far from it. But it could end up in that situation. And so what I think Microsoft is going to do is essentially take the same approach they did with Windows Phone, except not pull the plug on the hardware. You know, they're going to continue to make that Xbox hardware. And we even saw a rumor recently that Microsoft is even considering licensing out the ability for other companies, third-party companies, to make their own Xbox consoles, which is quite wild if you think about that. So, but yeah, Michael Lynch, I get what you're saying, man. The only thing I will say that I know you're being joking here, but I don't know that I agree that Microsoft should be careful at this point. I think that time is over. I think Microsoft is done trying to be careful because I just think it's like, you know, again, they've taken so many hits and they've made enough mistakes that it's like, well, what do we really have to lose now? You see what I'm saying? So I think for them, it's just kind of like, let's just do it this way and keep trucking and see where it goes. Whether or not it works out for them, we'll find out together. Yeah, the Lumia phones. That's what they were called. The Microsoft Lumia. I always thought Windows Phone was kind of cool, you know? Like I just thought the idea of it was cool. It's like I kind of like what they're doing here. They're trying to be very different from Android and Apple, but at the same time, like they were just way too behind. And it's like it seemed like anybody who chose to use Windows Phone, they had to actively decide to use like a worse product. And maybe that's why it didn't work out, but Michael, I do appreciate that. We also have Neo Exodus saying Jedi Survivor on EA Play for, what is that, £6 for £6 for a month. I think that's pounds, right? I'm just going to say $6. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that Jedi Survivor made its way to EA Play. There was like a rumor at first. Let me see. Yeah, confirmed. Star Wars Jedi Survivor joins the playlist on April 25th. Yeah, it's been confirmed. Is EA Play? EA Play is on PlayStation, right? I think they're still selling it for $70 as well. So, yeah, if you haven't played Star Wars Jedi Survivor, that's a good opportunity for you. So, Neo Exodus, I appreciate you pointing that out, man. No, I didn't see the new behind the scenes video for Stellar Blade yet. We'll probably watch that in the members lounge. I don't think I can watch it on my regular stream because it'll demonetize it. I reacted to it, the first one that they released a week or two ago, and it demonetized the stream, and there was a copyright on it. So I'll save it for the members lounge. All right, but we're gonna keep this moving along here. Just had to let you guys know about that Tomb Raider situation. Now, the next topic is one that I want to talk to you guys about because, man, I don't necessarily blame Sony for patenting this, but very strange future we could be looking at here. This is being reported by Push Square. They say here, Sony loves filing patents for gaming ideas that'll more than likely never come to fruition. It's done it again with a recent listing that focuses on the idea of auto-playing portions of a video game. Essentially, an autoplay feature would mean a game takes over control and plays itself during segments that a player might find boring or time-consuming. The example used is grinding, the need to gain experience and level up in order to meet the challenge of a boss fight or continue with the game's story. Rather than do this manually for hours on end, this autoplay system could, in theory, take care of that for you, leaving you to play the parts of the game you actually care about. To do this, the game would invite you to engage the autoplay mode, at which point AI, using data from the user play model, will take over and do the legwork on your behalf, simulating the gameplay style of a user. Once the grinding is taken care of, a notification to resume normal play would pop up, and you'll continue playing as usual. By using autoplay mode, users can avoid the need to play parts of a game that they do not like playing and reduce the amount of time it takes to complete the game because the AI player can play the grinding portions of the game at a faster speed. This is what the patent says exactly. As noted by Xputer, numerous MMORPG titles on PC and mobile utilize some form of autoplay, mainly to grind through battles or to cover a player while they're absent from the game. It's not totally unheard of then, but it's certainly not the norm in the majority of modern titles on a console. Again, these patents usually don't amount to anything more than just that, so who knows if we'll ever see autoplay modes come in over the next few years. But yeah, this is what we're talking about when we talk about autoplay. Very strange, man. I do not know. I mean, I do know why something like this would exist, why it does exist for some games already, and why Sony might be looking into it. But man, it just doesn't make much sense for me personally. And I see we have Lone Wolf Gamer here deciding to re-up his membership. Let me give a shout out and a thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
To Lone Wolf Gamer. Appreciate that, man. Welcome back to the MBG Army. Good stuff. And we also have Legions GG with a super chat saying, just finished FF7 Rebirth on Steam Deck. PS5 plus SD is life. Well, I'm glad to hear that, man. Yeah, I suspect some people are still making their way through Rebirth, and I'm glad you finished it. I'm assuming you enjoyed it, Legions. I'm assuming you enjoyed it. Appreciate the super chat. Now, I want to, before I give my thoughts on this, I got to ask you guys, how many of you would use something like this? An autoplay feature, like I guess imagine it for the PlayStation 6. Imagine this feature for the PlayStation 6 where you can boot up a game, and if there's any part of it that you just don't want to play yourself, you can hit autoplay, and an AI takes over and does it for you. Would anybody use this? It seems like pretty much everybody's saying no, not really. Kendall Fire says it sounds dystopian. The dystopian gaming future. B. Flesher says he'd never forgive himself. Lone Wolf Gamer saying that may be good for some boss fights in certain games like the Souls games. Okay. Trophies will be meaningless. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I do wonder if Sony. Yeah, if Sony were to actually implement something like this, I wonder if they would make it so if you do use it, you can't get the trophy. Guys, give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. I have to take care of something real quick. All right, sorry about that, guys. Let's get back on topic here. Yeah, so talking about this autoplay feature, I do wonder if Sony were to implement this, if they would basically tell you, like, hey, if you're choosing to use this feature, you're not going to be able to unlock trophies. I mean, there's a whole kind of situation that occurs here if Sony does decide to go through with this patent and make it a feature. If they were to do this, I imagine it would pop up maybe sometime during the PlayStation 6 generation. Probably not this generation. And we do need to acknowledge that these patents, they really are a 50-50 thing where they're totally up in the air. Maybe they'll happen, maybe not. Now, for me personally, my take on this is if you have to have a feature like this for a game, right? Like if there's any section of a game that a player says, I don't want to play this, and I want to have like an AI take over and play it for me, my question is, then why would it be in the game in the first place? You know? I mean, maybe in certain situations with like puzzles or something, if there's some puzzles that you really don't feel like solving, but even then you could just look up a guide. I mean, I guess having some kind of autoplay feature would be even easier, so you don't even have to look up a guide. So maybe in that instance it could work, but I don't, it just sounds weird to me. That's all. Because I think of all the games where I have done grinding, right? And I feel like the grind is supposed to be like, if a grind is implemented into a game properly, the grind should feel good. Yeah, see, I didn't know that. This article kind of mentioned it. You're saying MBG autoplay is a majorly common feature for mobile games, though. This patent could be for that, as we know they're making mobile games too. That's good point. Good point. Yeah, this article mentioned briefly that this is a relatively common thing in mobile games, and I don't play mobile games, so I wouldn't know. And we do know that Sony is pursuing more mobile games for, PlayStation mobile games. They're really going to try to make something happen in that space. This will enable more mediocre or poorly made games. Yeah, it's a little bit strange to me, like I guess my whole feeling on it is if this autoplay feature is implemented as a way to overstep the grind, to skip the grind and just get to the reward or the satisfying part, I feel like there's something totally wrong. Like, there's just something totally inherently wrong about that, because like, isn't that what, if a game asks you to grind at all, shouldn't there be satisfaction in the grind? There should be satisfaction in the journey and also reaching the destination. However, if this patent is being done mainly for mobile, then I guess it makes more sense. On console, though, I don't know. I don't think this would be received very well. I really don't. Guys, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry about that, guys. Yeah, my bad. Normally that doesn't happen twice in a row like that, but boss is in here now. Sheesh. Oh, I'm just seeing if I missed anything. Lone Wolf Gamer with a super chat. Appreciate that, man. You're saying, MBG, you could do something like autoplay for your podcast and just use AI to take over and have boss sit in for you. You know what, actually? Yeah, you're right, Lone Wolf Gamer. Maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. I could have an autoplay. I could sit here and talk to you guys and enable autoplay and have that gameplay playing, and it's technically I'm playing the game. No. That would be pretty funny, though. I mean, there are a lot of implications here. There are a lot of implications for what this could mean for all different types of games if it makes its way to console. And it has huge implications for, again, stuff like trophies. But I can honestly say that this is something I couldn't see myself ever using. You're saying there's zero implications? No, I wouldn't agree with that, dude. I wouldn't agree with that. There's definitely some implications here in you know, like when, for example, when somebody says, "Oh, I beat this game," and then it's like, well, it turns out that there were like 5 parts or a boss battle or something, you know, where you hit autoplay. It's just such a strange thing to me. I just couldn't imagine myself ever doing it. Like I would feel guilty. I would feel guilty in that if I was playing a game that did require me to grind and it was just like, you can skip this if you just hit autoplay and it'll just do it for you. I would just feel like I paid for this game, though. You know what I mean? Like I paid to play this game. I mean, again, we're talking if it were to come to consoles for premium games. For mobile, again, I think it's a different situation. But it would make me feel kind of guilty in that, like, well, is this really me getting my money's worth here? You know? You're saying, how does it affect me? I mean, I guess it wouldn't in the end. In that sense, no. Yeah, just don't use it. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, this could never be a thing. How dare they? It's just one of these things where it would be like, well, that's a thing. I don't quite like, it's a little strange to me, but you know, I think the truth is people would use it, you know? You know what is the thing that keeps popping into my mind with this is, I remember when I was playing Elden Ring, I was really struggling, like in the second half of the game, with a lot of the boss battles, and I felt like I was weak and underpowered. And so I looked up a guide to find this spot to go grind, and it was extremely tedious. Like I grinded all the way up to like level 120 or 130 or something. So I was doing it for a while, and I felt like I needed to do that because I was having trouble getting good, right? Like I really was encountering these boss battles where I'm like, I can't do this, man. I just can't. And I don't know. It makes me wonder, like, would I use it in that instance, you know? Or would I would I still be like, no, dude, just play it? Like, this is part of the experience. Like, in order for you to beat this game, you have to grind it out to get to this level so you can overcome the challenge. Like, this is your way of overcoming the challenge. If you don't have the skill necessary, like just the sheer skill, then you have to strengthen your character. And I guess I would feel like if I just hit autoplay and it did it for me and I got to like level 130, 140, whatever, I would feel a little bit bad. Like, did I really earn that though? You know what I mean? But I guess it is more of an individual thing. But I don't know, man. We'll see if this ends up coming to PlayStation consoles in the future. Saying boss is looking really chunky. Is he? Am I gonna have to lighten up on the snacks? You guys have to tell me though. Is he looking like a little bit bigger? Does he look like he's gaining weight? I can't. I see him every day. I mean, you guys see him almost every day, but it's harder for me to notice. If he's starting to gain some weight, I'm gonna have to cut back on the snacks a little bit. The dude says, "Yeah, man, you feed him way too many snacks." Everybody's saying a little bit. Okay, all right. Duly noted. Duly noted. He can't understand what you're saying, luckily, so he can't take any offense. But I'll still give him some snacks, but I'll give him fewer snacks. That'll be the way to do it. You're saying it's hard to tell because of the lighting. I'm looking at it now, and yeah, he does look pretty big. Why does he look that big? Boss, are you swollen? Look at him, dude. Look at him. He's like, snacks? Please, I need my snacks. Oh, God. He's totally addicted. Boss, would you use autoplay? He said no, he wouldn't really use autoplay. Make him hit the gym. Boss, you gotta hit the gym, man. All right. So yeah, I thought that this new autoplay feature being patented by Sony, again, it could be for mobile and Sony getting more heavily involved in mobile gaming. This is something that maybe they feel like has to be there as part of it because apparently, based off of what you guys are telling me, this is relatively common in mobile gaming. But I guess the assumption is seeing something like this patented, it makes people automatically assume like this is something Sony's looking into for their console games as well. And I'm if I had to make a guess, I'm gonna assume that this would be for Sony's mobile efforts and not necessarily their console efforts. Because I do feel like if they were to introduce something like this, it really could skew and mess up the ability to earn trophies. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe Sony will just give people the option to opt out of earning trophies or whatever. But interesting nonetheless. Boss, bro, you need to chill. You need to chill. I don't want to have to escort you out of here. I'm gonna RKO boss. He's here to cause chaos once again. All right. So we are going to move on to the next topic. Before we do that, though, guys, do me a favor, hit that like button. We're sitting at 125 likes. Let's see if we could get it up to 150 likes. That would definitely help out the stream. He wants those snacks. He definitely does. He seems intent on something. Yeah, he seems intent on finding a way up to my desk here. Like, this is the only problem I'm having with Boss anymore. Look at him. He wants to get on the desk, and I cannot have him on my desk because he's going to destroy stuff. He's reading the chat. That's funny, dude. I didn't even... Line of sight, yeah. He's seeing what you guys are saying. He's taking over. I interrupted his work of cleaning the curtains, and now I am asking for the chaos. Can't argue with that, dude. We have Josh here with a super chat. Really appreciate it, Josh. You're saying people don't consider PlayStation first-party releases MLB on Xbox, so they see the sales numbers for another one of their big live service games, top 10 sold yearly. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Josh. I don't know if this is kind of what you're leaning into, but I feel like, I don't know, you bringing up MLB and talking about, Sony first party and live service. Well, actually, you have a second super chat here, so maybe this is a follow-up to it. I'm going to read them back to back just so it can be a little bit more coherent. You're saying people don't consider PlayStation first-party releases MLB on Xbox, so they see the sales numbers for another one of their big live service games, top 10 sold yearly. If these numbers were so great, Helldivers 2 would have been on Xbox day one. I don't know if I believe that rumor. Juice doesn't seem worth the squeeze. You quoting, boss, you can't be this desperate, man. You're quoting Sean Layden there. Juice doesn't seem worth the squeeze. Yeah, you're not wrong, Josh. Sony never did bring MLB The Show to Xbox on their own accord. And I think that is something that is worth paying attention to. They were basically strong-armed into it. The MLB said, look, you're either going to put this on Xbox or we're taking the license from you. And obviously Sony was going to comply and say, okay, we don't want to lose this license. It makes us too much money. And we have an entire team dedicated to making the game. They've mastered it. And yeah, Sony did kind of fight it a little bit, it seemed. At least that's kind of the sense you got, or at least you got the sense that they weren't like thrilled with it. And there is the possibility that when Sony saw the sales numbers on Xbox, maybe they were like, oh, maybe we should do this. But I think what you're leaning into here, Josh, is the recent rumor that popped up about Helldivers 2 possibly coming to Xbox. And I'm going to elaborate on that further, but I'm going to have to escort Boss out of the room, bro. Like, he's actually fighting me right now. I don't know if you guys can see this. He's actually fighting me right now. Like, I try to be a nice cat dad and let him in when he's begging to come in, but this is why I can't, and I got to wait until I'm done talking and getting through the topics, because he is just, like, he wants to completely just sit in front of my face, and he wants all the attention on him. He thinks it's like playtime or something, man. Like, bro, he doesn't do this. Just so you guys know. I just want everybody to be aware that Boss does not do this any other time except for when I'm streaming. I could be chilling on the sofa over there, chilling around the house, and he's just like totally ignoring me. But when I'm streaming, he's like, you pay attention to me. So give me one more second here. And Josh, I have something I want to say about Helldivers 2 on Xbox. Just give me a moment. That's 3 times, dude. That's 3 times I had to put that screen up. I apologize to you guys. I'm sorry for so many interruptions. Boss is a menace. Listen, I will bring Boss back in towards the end of the stream. If we hit, I don't know if we're going to. If we hit the goal of 25 members today, I will bring him in later in the stream, and we'll give him some snacks. But right now, as I'm trying to just talk to you guys, I'm not going to be able to keep him in here. He's getting really rambunctious, and it's just a matter of time till he knocks over something here. But Josh, getting back to your super chat, there's been a lot of talk about Helldivers 2 possibly going to Xbox. The rumor came from Xbox Era. I believe it was Special Nick, who was the person who said that Sony is in early preliminary talks with Microsoft to bring Helldivers 2 to their console and their platform. And a lot of people don't believe this, and I don't believe it either yet, because it's just a single source that, and I was actually looking into it a little bit more, and yeah, it seems that the credibility of the source is very mixed. A lot of people are saying that, they're not usually, like, they're not correct about many things. And, of course, this has led to a lot of speculation. And look, the one thing that I haven't really seen many people bring up, that to me, it just was kind of like, you know what, actually, I think there's something we're missing here. That, to me, it's like, look, Sony is not one to just make moves like this out of the blue. Like, normally we can kind of see it coming. And I do assume that if something like Helldivers 2 going to Xbox were to happen, there'd be more build up to it. It wouldn't just happen overnight. That's my assumption anyway. However, wouldn't it make just so much more sense for Sony to release a PS4 version of Helldivers 2 before they were to ever consider making an Xbox version of Helldivers 2? Like, this thought occurred to me yesterday in the evening. I was like, wait, yeah, why wouldn't they do that? Like, why wouldn't they say, you know what, we want to increase the player count. Let's put it on this console that's ours, that has almost 120 million users for an install base. Why would they say, let's make an Xbox version, let's release it, like, let's optimize this game and port it to a console that has, like 1/5 of that install base. And that to me is where this, look, I'm not saying it couldn't be true. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, logically speaking, the order in which this occurs. Now, of course, there's the conversation or the discussion, like, maybe this game isn't possible on PS4, but I'll just say that if it was that important for Sony, I think they would work with Arrowhead to be like, we will try to find any way we can to get this up and running, even if it's a very different version. I think they would still do it, But I don't know, man. To me, it's just, I would expect to hear something like that before we hear something like what we're hearing now. It just doesn't make any sense to me to hear of Sony being in active negotiations or preliminary discussions to bring a game like Helldivers 2 over to Xbox before we hear anything about Sony considering a PS4 version. The only way I could see that being a possibility is if Sony wants a PS4 version, but Arrowhead's like, that's literally not possible. If that's the case, then so be it. But I think Helldivers 2 is doing some good stuff, but I don't know. Does Helldivers 2 seem like a game that couldn't run on PS4? Because here's the thing. If Helldivers 2, and here's another thing we have to consider, if Helldivers 2 were to actually go to Xbox, they would need to make a Series S version. So again, you're telling me that Sony's going to be willing to make a Series S version of this game before a PS4 version? That doesn't make any sense to me. Could Sony do that? Yeah, they could. But logically speaking, it doesn't add up. I think Sony would be more likely to find a way to get a PS4 version running, maybe at 30 FPS, release that, and then if they really want to, okay, now we'll maybe talk to Microsoft and think about a Series X and Series S version, maybe. But again, it's hard to run with a rumor like this because there's only one source, and that source is mixed. If we start to hear other sources come out and say, yeah, like Jason Schreier comes out and says, yeah, I've heard that Sony is negotiating and in talks to bring Helldivers to Xbox, or if, Jason Schreier, Jeff Grubb, Tom Henderson, if any of those individuals come out and say that, yeah, they've heard this as well, then I'm going to pay closer attention and be like, it looks like it may be happening. But right now it's just a single source. And again, it's worth noting that they said preliminary. So I feel like even if this were to be true, a lot of people are not focusing on what that means. Preliminary basically means that, like, they're trying to just establish a line of communication to see if this is even a possibility. So they could be doing, like, it could be a phone call, essentially, where maybe Phil called Sony and said, can we make this happen? And Sony's like, we'll think about it, or something like that. I mean, it's kind of what we're looking at here based off of what we're being told. MBG, you are giving this rumor wings, which is what they want, and hope someone from Sony is listening to see how you will react to it. Well, I mean, to be fair, I'm just kind of responding to a super chat from Josh. I wouldn't say I'm giving it wings. It's just, this rumor will get its wings when more reliable sources come out and say that, yeah, they've heard the same thing, or they can corroborate it. Then we'll talk about it more definitively. Because right now, again, there's just not much to go off of. This is very different from the rumors with Microsoft that happened in February. That was like the floodgates opening, dude. Like, everybody was saying, yeah, this is happening, that's happening, and this and that is happening too. And you couldn't escape it. It was like these rumors like suffocated you, from every source. And of course, it calmed down and things were put in their place, but this is not like that. This is just a kind of like, like, who's saying this and what's going on? Huh? It's a different situation, I would say. Why not just let Xbox make their own game like Helldivers and compete? They own Halo. I mean, yeah, they could. I think that's a viable option. I will say I don't think they can make a game exactly like Helldivers. Helldivers is pretty unique in some ways, but they could. Yeah, they could try to make something somewhat similar to it using one of their own properties like Halo. That'd be very interesting. They could do that, but I don't know. I don't know if they will. All right, so that was kind of a little bonus topic there, I guess, based off of Josh's super chats. So, Josh, thank you for the super chats, man. I want to move on to the next topic here. It's not a major topic, and it might be a little bit of a stretch. I will admit up front, this next topic and this next discussion is a bit of a stretch, but I hope you guys will forgive me because, again, there's really nothing of significance or consequence happening with PlayStation right now, other than Stellar Blade, which we will talk about and we have been talking about, but I'm talking news-wise. So, just entertain me here, indulge me a little bit. We're talking about, two things we're talking about here. Number one is Black Myth WuKong, but also how this might be a hint. This might be a hint at a PlayStation showcase. And we have Meow coming in and dropping 5 membership gifts. It's been so long since I've seen a membership gift. I almost forgot what they look like. No, I'm just kidding, of course. But Meow, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, my God. Dropping 5 gifts for you guys, bringing us up to 6 on the day. Let me add that to the counter. Good stuff. Good stuff. Appreciate the support. Boss donated. That was Boss. John Parizo says thanks for the membership. Let me make sure to... Okay, I didn't miss anything. So... Wait, you're saying what was that sound? The soundbite played correctly, right? But yeah, I want to talk about something new that came out for Black Myth Wukong that I think, look, I think a lot of us are interested in this game, Black Myth Wukong. I know I am. But this new information seems to, again, I know it's a bit of a stretch, but it seems to maybe point in the direction of a PlayStation showcase happening in May. I think a lot of us do believe that this is going to happen, but let me go over this and tell you what I'm talking about. Before I do that, though, we have Shadow Gamer 24 coming in, keeping the membership train going, following up Meow by dropping 5 more gifts. 10 gifts in total gifted to you guys, bringing us up to 11 on the day. So Shadow Gamer 24, really appreciate that, man. Longtime member as well. Good stuff. Good stuff, guys. Gavin says, let's go. Well, we're at 11. Let's see if we can end up getting to 25. If we can get to 25, like I said, towards the end of the stream when we're finished all the topics, I'll bring Boss in. We'll give him slightly fewer snacks because we don't want him to get overweight here, but we'll still give him some snacks. He's clearly very desperate for them, so but thank you for that, man. Let me give you a
It's dangerous to rely on
Mark Cerny soundbite there.
Indicator of performance.
All right, so hold on. I want to read this information to you guys. But I'm looking for something real quick. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, so the new information here. First, it is a write-up from WCCF Tech. It says Black Myth Wukong, the upcoming action RPG from Chinese developer Game Science, has received a PlayStation Store page. Sony's official PlayStation Store page currently only includes a release date alongside some details and screenshots about the highly anticipated title. With the PlayStation Store now being up for the game, it appears to be a matter of time before pre-orders go live for the title. Now, that's nothing shocking or crazy in and of itself. However, there is a follow-up here where I came across this on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, where it says, according to Lunatic Lingus, this is a Twitter user that apparently correctly predicted a lot of Black Myth Wukong and Crimson Desert info, also other games like Phantom Blade Zero and Project DT. They mentioned that pre-orders will be going live for Black Myth Wukong in the, although it seems like there's a little bit of a typo here, it says in the half of May. He recently tweeted that the PlayStation Store page is live and that pre-orders will be coming soon. He also said that the game will be very big and will exceed all of our expectations. Now, the only problem with this is, okay, the pre-orders for Black Myth Wukong will come in the middle of May. So, people are reading this and they're, again, we might be connecting dots where there aren't any dots to connect, but to me, this seems like a prime hint, potentially, for a PlayStation showcase that features a new Black Myth Wukong gameplay trailer with a release date and announcing pre-orders have gone live. Boss, bro, you're gonna destroy my door. Oh my god, dude, this cat is... I was gonna say this cat's an animal, but like he literally is an animal, but he's going to destroy my door. But this is interesting to me because the last trailer we got for Black Myth Wukong was I believe it was at the Game Awards, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember one of the last trailers we got showed some gameplay, and it looked amazing. It looked absolutely amazing. Like it actually looked insane. And it's releasing in August. So again, man, could we just see Black Myth Wukong come out in the middle of May by itself and announce pre-orders are live, here's a new trailer, here's, more gameplay? Yeah, but I don't know, man. I'm thinking this would be a prime title to show up at a May PlayStation showcase. I do. I think that this is a game, honestly, that has a ton of potential to sell incredibly well, specifically on the PlayStation Store. What do you guys think? I need some feedback here. Is this a stretch? Is this too much hopium? Or do you think that there could be something to this? Do you think the stars are aligning here? Or am I just so desperate, I'll take anything I can get? I mean, to me, it seems to add up. Too much copium? Too much copium. A demo would be... Oh, that would be cool, actually. That would be very smart. Announce a new trailer with pre-orders and a demo. That would be awesome. You thinking no showcase until June? I don't think so. I'm feeling pretty confident it'll happen in May. I will say, if Sony is planning a second showcase in September for the PS5 Pro, I think a May showcase makes even more sense to give them a little bit more space in between. Jay Shako, what is this that you're sending me? Unreal Engine 5.4 official features overview. Okay. Interesting. Maybe I'll check this out. Oh, it's for Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. Nice. Maybe I'll check. No, it's not malware. I don't think it is. No. It's just a link to a YouTube video. Jay Shako, what are you doing, bro? Stop giving me malware. Maybe that's something else we can watch in the members lounge. You're saying with the current state of PlayStation, there might not be one until September. I don't think so, dude. I really just don't see that. Again, as I said earlier, it was a little bit of a side topic, but I really do think when Sony's annual earnings are happening on May 14th, we're going to want to pay attention to this. May 14th is going to be an interesting date because Sony's going to give their yearly earnings, and I'm going to give a prediction right now. And I think it's going to be not great. I don't think it's going to be like terrible, but I think Sony is going to have to basically try to let their shareholders down as easy as they can, but there's going to be no getting around the fact that Sony's going to miss targets, and it's not going to look ideal. And it's, I think Sony having a showcase ready to go like a week or two after their annual earnings, it just makes too much sense. It does. If I were Sony, that's exactly what I would do, especially if I knew I was going to miss some targets. And I'm going to have to do something to get everybody excited again, and to get people to have more faith in the brand and the platform. I think it just makes sense. But this idea of Black Myth Wukong showing up, I mean, Black Myth Wukong, if you look at this game, it's clearly heavily inspired by a lot of the bigger single-player action-oriented games that Sony has put out, in the PS4 generation and the PS5 generation. And it looks, but it also looks inspired by many other titles as well. It looks like a crazy blend, and it looks massive. Like that to me is what's very surprising about Black Myth Wukong. Like, I almost feel like this is a game that Sony probably Look, I don't think they did, and I don't think they will. I think that ship has sailed, but this to me seemed like one of those games where Sony, you might want to consider trying to lock this down, dude. Like if you really want to try to, get a system seller, Black Myth Wukong might be the one, because this game it does look massive, and this person who's saying this on Twitter, again, I don't know if apparently they've been saying stuff about Black Myth Wukong and it's been correct. They're saying the game is going to surpass and exceed people's expectations. So I hope that Black Myth Wukong, I hope this is one of those rare moments where like we see a game for the first time and it's like, wow, this kind of looks too good to be true. It's like, no, it is true. And it lives up to the expectation. Yeah, that's true too, Capono. That would be very awkward. They did announce the game for Xbox already. Although Sony has done that before, dude, with Shift Up. They did that with Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade was announced for Xbox, and Sony was like, nah, I don't think so. Saying lock it down. Well, look, maybe not lock it down, but because to be honest, like it would be overly egregious. It would be overly egregious for Sony to come out and be like, this game's exclusive now. But what they could do is maybe market it a bit. I think that would be wise. Again, this game seems like it could do really well on PlayStation. I think if Sony wants to, I think it would just be a smart move. Even if they can just get it at their showcase, I think it would be a smart move. Show the game at the showcase. Show it maybe in like the middle of the showcase. Nice long 2-3 minute gameplay trailer, and announce, pre-orders. But as somebody else pointed out, doing a demo would be really smart too. Yeah, kind of like what they did with Hogwarts Legacy. Somewhat. Yeah, I think that would be the way to go. I can't wait to I will say Black Myth Wukong, that's going to be the game as far as I can tell right now. Like that's going to be the game for August. It's going to be a great summer game. But I wanted to run this by you guys. Again, is it another showcase hint? Possibly. That's why I titled it the way I did. Another possible showcase hint. Not a guarantee. Things are very quiet right now. A lot of random rumors popping up on Twitter. We'll see if any of them come true. We'll see if this one comes true. Saying you're more interested in Phantom Blade Zero. We should be hearing more from Phantom Blade Zero as well. The developer did say that they're planning on having a demo out this year. So that's another game that we saw last year. It looked amazing. And again, looked a little too good to be true. We want to see more of it. So hopefully we'll see it next month. Celaire of a story, you're saying if there are two showcases, it could mean the May showcase will be bad. Well, regardless of how many showcases Sony has this year, there is always the chance that any of their showcases could be bad. I am more optimistic this time around, though. I'm feeling more optimistic that their next show will be better, quite substantially better than the previous one. I don't think you can get much. Look, I'm not trying to make it sound like Sony didn't show any good games at the last showcase, but I just don't think it could really go lower than that. I don't, because it was mostly CG trailers from their first party for games we never heard of, from studios we never heard of. So it's like, yeah, I don't think it could get, like, I don't really know how much lower the bar could get, to be honest. So if anything, it makes it that much easier for Sony to just knock it out of the park this year. I do think that. I do think they can do it relatively easily. I mean, Wolverine shows up, Ghost of Tsushima, that's already looking pretty good. Anything else you want to bring, now you're really going for it. And we have Jake TRML keeping the membership train going today. Jake, thank you so much for that, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jake drops a single membership. Guys, just a reminder, I'll use Jake's membership as a reminder. You can always just gift a single membership if that's something you would like to do. We get a lot of 5 bombs, a lot of 10 bombs, and so on, but the single gifts help a lot as well. Sometimes we even get single membership trains going. Never know how far they can go. So Jake, thank you for that, man. We'll see if Jake is going to be the one that initiates a single membership train. He's paying it forward, yeah. Very generous of him. Good stuff, Jake. Jake's like, W in the chat, bro. Jake says, let's get it going. He's calling you guys out right now. He's saying, guys, come on, get a single membership train going in the name of boss. Let me see how many more topics I have here. So I have about 2 more topics. This is probably going to be a shorter stream overall. I blew through these topics pretty quickly. You're saying screw a state of play. We need the showcase. I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement. We don't need a state of play. We need a full blown showcase for sure. I don't think a state of play would suffice. It would have to be the greatest state of play ever. Like really, it would have to be quite substantial. I've said that twice, but it would have to be a very big deal. Let me take a drink here, and we're going to move on to the next topic. Guys, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. And as I'm saying that, we have Gavin coming in. Gavin is answering the call. Gavin says, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get a single member train going. Gavin drops a membership gift for you guys, bringing us up to 13.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good stuff, Gavin. Good stuff. Let's see how far we can take it, Man, I'm really thirsty, though. Sometimes I don't realize how thirsty I am after talking so much. Like, I think I just want to take a sip of water. It's like, no, dude, you got to hydrate here. Roadkill says, hit the like button. Thank you. Yeah, guys, make sure you hit that like button. Let's see if we can get to 175 likes. I would like to see Metal Gear show up at the showcase again. I think the timing is right. I mean, Konami recently teased that we're going to see more Metal Gear Solid Delta. They had that little video they put out featuring David Hayter, and they made it clear, like, you're going to be seeing more of Snake Eater remake soon. Solaire, you're saying, my only question is what game will Sony push out later this year? Until Dawn, maybe? Yeah, I think Until Dawn's coming. What's so messed up, man? I love how, like, people are still, even now, people are still so willing, not you, Solaire, but I came across this yesterday where people are so willing to take things out of context that I say, for example, towards the end of my last stream that we did on Sunday, I got a super chat from Disco Cobra 2013. He comes in sometimes and he drops these big super chats, and the super chat was him asking about pretty much what you were just said here, like asking what other games does Sony have for the remainder of the year. He basically said that it seems like Sony kind of already put out a lot of their big hitters, and, other than Stellar Blade, what else is coming? And then I went on to answer his question by basically saying that right now, there isn't really anything. There are a few things we know of, like Until Dawn, Concord, and of course, we know about like Wolverine coming at some point and Death Stranding 2, but outside of that, we don't really know much, and there isn't much to play. And yet I see a clip making the rounds of a person basically saying that I'm not a real gamer because there are plenty of other games coming out. Like, there are plenty of big games coming out this year. And I thought that this was just completely ridiculous because it's like, this is bullshit. You're taking a clip of me answering it. Like, and to be clear, this person did not include me reading the super chat. You see what I'm saying? They cut that part off to just make it seem like the only thing I care about is PlayStation exclusive games. And they tried to frame it that I'm sitting here saying that there are no other games coming out this year. Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. And I'm like, this is the type of bullshit that for some reason people try to pull with me and my channel. And I just hope that people, maybe I'm hoping for too much, but I would just hope that people would be willing to just come in and listen, you know? But I know it's hard because when you get people purposely cutting stuff out and editing it the way that they want to edit it to frame it a certain way, I know that the people who are hearing that, they have no way of knowing. You know? They have no way of knowing that I read a super chat and I was specifically answering a question about PlayStation games for the remainder of 2024. It's just sad. And when I go to look at the replies under a clip like that, what's even more depressing is the amount of people just hating on me. Where it's like, you guys don't even know. Like, you're just hating on me based off of a out of context clip, and you're wrong. Like the things you're saying are objectively wrong because you decided to follow a person who is being disingenuous and trying to lie about me. But, you know, it's not anything new. I'm just kind of surprised that it's like we're still doing this, guys. Like, we're still doing this after all this time. I will admit, yeah, that game I did completely forget about. No Rest for the Wicked. Wait, is that a PlayStation game? Or are you thinking of V Rising? But the truth is, I do play more, certainly. I play a lot more than just PlayStation exclusive games. No Rest. I think I'm getting these two games confused. No Rest for the Wicked. No Rest for the Wicked is a multi-platform game. And oh, wow. Hold on. Did this game just come out? Is this even the game I'm thinking of? Because I saw a trailer recently. Wait, this game is out now? It says April 18th. It says it's out for Steam. Hold on. Is this actually out for PS5 already? Oh, early. Okay. I was going to say, like, how did I miss this? This is made by the Ori devs. Okay, this game looks pretty promising. It's available through early access. The full version is set to release later on for PS5 and Xbox Series. Okay. Yeah, the other game I'm thinking of too is V Rising. I saw that one. Yeah, that's what confused me, is that it just came out in early access. And I don't think Sony allows early access games, really. But yeah, I started going that little tangent there. It's not a big deal. It's just, it's sad to me that, like, look, man, I know there's a lot of people who don't like me, and I'm not trying to win them over, and I'm not trying to say, please like me. It's just, what I am requesting is, like, please don't try to frame things out of context to get people to dislike me even more. Like, I don't mind at all if people choose to dislike me because they don't agree with me or they don't like what I have to say. I just really don't appreciate the kind of manipulation and the twisting of things. It's like, come on, you know, there's plenty of times where I've said some crazy stuff, and you don't need to take any of it out of context. It speaks for itself. That's all. I just wish people would be more willing to show the full picture. That's all. Anyway, we do have 2 more topics here that I want to discuss with you guys. They're not major topics, but still something that I think is worth covering. And that's true, Chase. Haters gonna hate. Very true. I want to talk to you briefly about Stellar Blade. Again, these are not this is not a major piece of news, but it's something that I do think is relatively significant. This is coming from PlayStation Lifestyle. Developer ShiftUp has confirmed that PS5 exclusive Stellar Blade will not be censored in any region, including Japan. Japan was specifically mentioned because the country's rating board Zero is known for being strict. Last year, Zero banned Dead Space Remake because of its gore. Concerns about Stellar Blade's potential censorship don't only stem from its violence and gore, however. The game has earned some criticism for sexualized characters despite its protagonist being based on a real-life model. Some fans expressed concerns that Stellar Blade may be censored in the West. ShiftUp has confirmed that this will not be the case. Now, we have another article here from PlayStation Lifestyle where it says ShiftUp's recent statement regarding Stellar Blade's censorship status has drawn the ire of Dead Space Remake's Japan team. ShiftUp confirmed that its PS5 exclusive will not be censored in any region, including Japan, puzzling Electronic Arts' Japanese general manager. Dead Space Remake was banned by Japanese rating board Zero. As spotted and translated by Automaton, the head of EA's Japan sector took to X to point out that part of the reason Dead Space was denied a rating in Japan was its depiction of severed body parts and internal organs. However, Stellar Blade includes the same content and received a 0D rating, ages 17 and up. On the other hand, Dead Space wasn't even awarded a 0Z rating for 18 and up. The game was banned outright. In a follow-up tweet, he stresses that he's by no means criticizing Stellar Blade or taking a swing at the developers. He added that he personally enjoyed the demo and encouraged his followers to buy the full game. He added that he's just vexed by the vagueness of Zero's review process. And I thought this was pretty interesting because it's like, I have to admit, that's pretty weird. That's pretty weird, man. And I'm coming back here to see that Titus is keeping the single member train going today. Titus is getting in on it, and he drops a membership gift for us, keeping it flowing here. Bring it to 14 members. Titus, really appreciate that, man. So, guys, we are 11 away. We're 11 memberships away from hitting a goal of 25. We still have some time. Let's see if we can hit that goal. Bring Boss in, and we will give him some of his snacks, because God knows he is freaking out for those snacks. So, Titus, thank you for that. I did find this situation pretty strange, though. I mean, what could be the reason for this? I'm trying to think what could be the reason why Stellar Blade was just like, you're good, bro. And there is severing of body parts and stuff like that as well, and gore. But Dead Space was like, I don't think so, buddy. I guess what I'm trying to say is I could understand why the head of EA's Japan sector is puzzled and bro, what the hell? But to me, the more important thing here is the good news that Stellar Blade is not being censored in any region. There was definitely some concern that Stellar Blade would, for one reason or another, find itself being censored, and I'm glad that it's not, because, look, is some of Stellar Blade over-sexualized? Maybe, but, it's, again, Stellar Blade is, I think, serving as a kind of, right now, a shining beacon, so to speak. A haven, if you will. for a certain group of gamers to be able to feel like, you know what, it's nice to see a game like this. I'm going to go support it. And I really think that if this game was censored in any region for any reason, I think it would have garnered quite a bit of backlash. And I have to say, I am a little bit surprised. Like, truthfully, the more I think about it, I am a little bit surprised that the game is not getting censored at all anywhere. Like, I would have thought that based off of not just, again, the nature of how Eve's character looks, but also the fact that there is some gore in this game. I thought, okay, maybe they're going to find that in some areas, in some regions, it might get censored. But no, dude, they're just like, you're good to go. So I think it's a win. I do. I think it's a win. We're getting a game like Stellar Blade totally uncensored, and everybody can just enjoy it the way it was meant to be enjoyed, the way that the creators want to present it. They don't have to change anything. They don't have to alter anything. I think that's good news, and I think we should see that more frequently for games. And I also just want to take this opportunity to once again express that I think the controversy surrounding Eve's character and the way her body looks is ridiculous, and I think people just need to get over themselves and just let people enjoy the game. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. Move on and find something that is for you. That's my take on it. So, all right. Now, I have one more topic here, guys, and this is just something that I wanted to basically just do a follow-up on Helldivers 2. This is coming from MP First. They say, while more and more gamers are going the live service route, it hasn't always been met with success. It says gamers, but I think they meant to say games, as not only do you need to have a proper player base to make content for, but you also need to make sure that these same players stay invested and engaged. It seems Arrowhead Game Studios has found the magic formula with Helldivers 2, as even after 2 months since release, the multiplayer shooter is still being played by hundreds of thousands of players daily. It seems Arrowhead's goals are loftier than keeping their players engaged, as Johan Pilestead, the CEO of the studio, states that they are aiming for Helldivers 2 to be the best live service title that gamers have ever played. This statement was posted on the game subreddit, where he also shared that the studio needs to not just add to the game, but also fix what's broken in order to keep the player base interested. We want to deliver the best in the industry, and we are calibrating our efforts of fixing versus new stuff. It's easy to say just fix, don't add, but the reality of the competitiveness in this industry is that we have to do both to stay relevant. We are figuring it out. Demands and expectations on the studio are high. All eyes are on us. We have a sole purpose to make this the best live service game we've ever played. We just need to find our stride and balance. It's a hot topic at the studio, and I'm sorry for the sloppy mistakes we've made as of recent. In another comment, Pilestead mentioned that the gaming industry is a complicated beast and added that they need to make sure the player base is entertained while they're fixing stuff. The studio's boss went on to squash any idea that Sony is forcing them to do anything and how the publisher trusts the studio. Also, my intention was to say that the games industry is a complicated beast. We need to stay relevant and keep everyone entertained while fixing stuff. The expectations from our friends at PlayStation are pretty simple. Make great games for players. We trust you. Nobody is forcing us, but at the same time, the pressure is real, and it's also very abstract. So I wanted to cover this because, you know, we're getting some more insight into what we can expect from Helldivers 2 going forward. I have to admit, I think by this point, I've completely moved on from Helldivers, which is fine. You know, to be honest, I never imagined Helldivers being a game for me that I would play for months and months and months and make like a new go-to live service. I think for some people, that's absolutely what it is. And I really enjoyed my time with it. I got the platinum. Great game. And I will be very interested in seeing how the game evolves and if it can, you know, if it can continue to remain where it's at, you know? And so, to me, there are a couple of standout things here. Number one, it's interesting to hear from Arrowhead. He acknowledges Sony, and he says, Sony isn't forcing us to do anything. The only thing Sony is saying, just make a great game. We trust you with it. So it seems like Sony's taking a very hands-off approach with Arrowhead and Helldivers, which I don't want to say is surprising, but maybe it is a little bit, right? Like I would have thought that given the success of Helldivers 2, Sony maybe would have wanted to get a little bit more involved, but they're like, no, listen, and maybe this is the best way to do it, where Sony's like, look, you guys know what you're doing. You know your game, and you're ambitious. You have a new level of success. Go for it. I think that's good news. I do. Again, it's not often we get much insight like that, but it's reassuring to hear that they're not interfering with the game at all. They're just letting Arrowhead handle it the way that they want. But I think what's also interesting is that the way Arrowhead CEO is talking about the future of this game. I mean, it doesn't get any more ambitious, and the dream doesn't get any bigger than we want it to be the best live service game you've ever played. I mean, some people I've seen already have said that like this is the best like live service game that they've played, and that's a huge compliment. But to me, what gets me potentially excited, if not excited, but just very interested in this, is I am of the mindset that in order for Helldivers 2 to be the best live service game people have played, there's going to have to be like major, and I mean major content drops, like massive expansions, things that are going to change the game in some major ways. Because if you want to be the best, I mean, that's what some of the best games have done. And I'm not saying that I'm not expecting that. It's just, it kind of leaves the door. I think it's not even that it leaves the door open. I think it just kind of gives us a little view, a little glimpse into where they're headed next. Unless it could just be talk. It could just be them saying like, look, this is our dream, but maybe we won't be able to achieve that, but they're just dreaming big. But I think that they have it's a real possibility is what I'm trying to say, that with the game Helldivers 2 and the success that Arrowhead has found, that if they have this lofty dream of we want to make one of the best live service games ever made, that they're going to do it. You're saying it's already doing that? I mean, I think so far, yeah. I think that the amount of content and the pace of the delivery of that content and the way that they've been interacting with the community, I think it's been on point. I think that it's already outdone many other live service games. Because I mean, one of the biggest problems that a lot of live service games have when they launch is the communication's poor, the updates are too slow, the content's not flowing smoothly enough. All of these things, total opposite. So I think they're already off to an incredible start, but I just think it's like now going forward, it's like, now that they're kind of starting to really get settled in and they can really start planning out like a longer term roadmap, it'll be really interesting to see like what they could come up with and what they could do and how they could change things up. So yeah, they're still a relatively small team. I think they have like still 100 developers. So, in the next year or two, who knows, man? Maybe they could grow double in size. Maybe they could grow to 200 devs, 300. I mean, who knows? 300 one day? It really depends on how far they want to go. But my guess is that if they're planning on making one of the most successful live service games ever, I imagine they're going to want to scale up. I do. I think that they've expressed interest in that. So just wanted to kind of give you this update on Helldivers 2. I think it's good news. The game is still trucking along. It's still going strong. It's still successful as ever. And I think the fact that we're approaching soon the 3-month mark and it's still doing this well is a testament to just how good of a job Arrowhead is doing. And I think that this game has still a very, very bright future. We have PlayStation Pete coming in with a $5 super chat saying, I double platinumed Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm seeing 66 at work. Uh-oh. Dude, that's so funny. I just checked the temperature. It's showing me the temperature outside on my computer, and not 67 degrees, bro. One away. Could you imagine if it was 66 degrees? Yeah, I still am seeing the number 66 everywhere, and I just don't care anymore. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what it means. I'm done trying to deconstruct it and decode it and figure it out. I just accept it for what it is. 67 degrees Fahrenheit, yeah. But double platinuming Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. I know PlayStation Pete loves his platinum trophies. He loves the metagame. I do too. Although I don't know, I still love the metagame of trophy hunting, but I think I've eased up on it in the last year or two. Like I still do it, but I just like don't let it stress me out anymore. Like I don't sweat it too much. Congratulations, Mr. B. That's impressive. Jack, you're saying Helldivers 2 could learn a few things from Destiny 2 and how to stay relevant for such a long time? Yeah, maybe. I think there are definitely some things they could learn. Probably some things Bungie could learn from Arrowhead as well. IP Gaming, you have 67 platinums. Nice, dude. Yeah, I appreciate the super chat, PlayStation Pete. And we also have Lore Cannon here with a $2 super chat saying Helldivers 2 needs to be on PlayStation Plus. Also adding zombies and PvP. That would see everything you just listed there. I mean, that all sounds very promising to me. I don't know. Zombies would be really something in a game like this. I mean, I know zombies maybe are like overdone in some ways, but I don't know, like some kind of crazy like Super Earth, there's like some kind of like infectious outbreak in Super Earth, and like all these citizens and Helldivers are getting infected and become zombies. That'd be pretty sick. That'd be cool. Again, like maybe something in the long run. To be honest, all these things, like if they want Helldivers to be like a 10-year game, these things will happen. All of these things to some extent. Now, I know a lot of people are against PvP, but I mean, again, if you're talking about a game going the distance, I think if 5 years from now, I don't think anybody would be upset if 5 years from now, in the year, 2029, I don't think anybody would be like, bro, I can't believe Helldivers added PvP. I think people will probably be excited by that. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, you have to understand that if a game's going to go the distance for many years to come, PvP might not work. I'm just saying they would probably try it. They would probably try it at some point just to see. Killing your fellow Helldiver is treason. Maybe it wouldn't have to come in the form of that. I don't know. Maybe you could play as the automatons, bro. I don't know. I will say Arrowhead's CEO, he took a pretty hardline stance on this where he's like, nah. I'm just saying my view of a long-term plan for a live service is I could see anything basically being on the table as a consideration. Like maybe we could experiment with PvP and see what happens. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. They made it clear the game is not designed for PvP. So chances are if they were to try to do it, it probably wouldn't be very fun. And because of that, it would probably get scrapped. I think they mentioned something like one day maybe like doing raids or something, though. That would be interesting. Steven, you're saying no, they don't need to. I agree. Overall, I agree. I don't think it's needed. No. PvE is less toxic. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I like PvP games though, but PlayStation Plus, now that's an interesting one. This game one day will be on PlayStation Plus for sure, but only when the sales have pretty much stopped. I could even see Helldivers 2 one day, eventually, like, again, if it's years down the line, going free to play. Zombies were the next faction. Mind controls. Yo, if they bring zombies to Helldivers 2, yeah, I'll be back playing that. Absolutely. That sounds great. That sounds awesome. They add Xenomorphs. That would be cool too. That would be a great collaboration. Oh, if they do a Terminator collaboration with the automatons, oh my god. Just like Arnold's everywhere. Oh yeah. There's a lot of things they could do to bring me back to the game for sure. Pushing Polygons, member for 12 months. Appreciate that, man. You're saying, what is your wish list for new projects that haven't been rumored or announced, either with PlayStation Studios or third party? It's a good question. I mean, there's... we think that haven't been rumored or announced. God, that's a tough one to... well, you didn't say that haven't been speculated. It's a tough one because, well, I mean, I think I would want to see a game from a PlayStation studio. I don't know which studio, but I would want to see a game from a PlayStation studio that is basically trying to create, I don't know if I want to say like a fantasy RPG or like a Souls-like game, but just something like more along those lines, you know, like a more traditional RPG that still is somewhat cinematic, but maybe a little bit less focused on the cinematic part and more focused on just the RPG aspect, and maybe even an action RPG. And the setting could be fantasy, could be high fantasy, could be space. But I would actually be super interested to kind of see like just how that could turn out, because I feel like, again, a lot of Sony's games, they do have RPG elements, but I don't know that there's any like major first party game that would be considered like a full blown, yeah, like something deep with a lot of good lore. Yeah, something like that. I mean, I guess you could say that's kind of been rumored a little bit, but you know, maybe I'm cheating a little bit with what you're saying here, but that would be very interesting to see from a PlayStation studio, just because, again, I feel like we haven't really, or you know what else? You know what? Actually, here's another one, and this would be super interesting because I have no clue who would even make it. I really don't. I have no idea who would make it, and I know that this sounds maybe like a dumb idea, and it probably would be a dumb idea, but it still wouldn't stop me from wanting to see it. I would love to see Sony task one of their studios or multiple PlayStation studios to come together to create a GTA competitor, dude. And I know that sounds ridiculous because it wouldn't actually compete. Not a competitor, a GTA clone. Just like something in that vein, but like their own touch to it, you know, their own spin. I feel like we used to see this in the industry, like when GTA 3 and GTA Vice City and GTA San Andreas, there were like these other games that tried to not be GTA, but they kind of took some cues from GTA. Where, yeah, I think even The Getaway was in some ways inspired by GTA. I would like to see what that would look like, because I do think Sony has the talent to be able to maybe do something like that. Do I think it could be better or match GTA 6? No, I don't think, no, not at all. But it would still just be interesting to see something like that, something more contemporary, you know, like a living, breathing city. I mean, we've seen like Watch Dogs and stuff kind of do that. I would like to see something along those lines. Like, I feel like when I think of Infamous Second Son in Seattle, like, it's not GTA, obviously, but they're kind of going for a more lively open world, modern open world. I think of like, Spider-Man, you know, New York City. Again, it's not as simulated as a game like GTA, but it's kind of got that living, breathing open world feel. But I want to see a team like do that, but try to take it to another level where it really feels like a true, genuine, living, breathing world, similar to GTA. Maybe in just a different city or something like that. I would love to see a Sony team try to do something like that too. To be clear, there's nothing crazy about what I'm saying. I see people making it sound like I'm like on drugs or something. Like, dude, that's not a wild thing. Just make it doesn't. maybe me using the terminology GTA or GTA clone or competitor, maybe that's what's throwing people off. I'm not saying it needs to compete with GTA. I'm just saying like a more robust open world with a greater emphasis on the realism and the simulation of that open world. I feel like this is something that's really missing from Sony's. They're kind of when you look at all the things that Sony does well from their studios, I feel like there are open worlds. Yeah, like again, Spider-Man's open world, Ghost of Tsushima's open world, Days Gone was open world, Horizon's open world. Like these are open world, but I want to see something more dense. Something more, again, more simulated, more dense, more complex overall, and that would be super interesting. It'd be super interesting, I think, to see Sony try to do something like that, but it would have to make sense, of course. Would it be like a crime game? In that way, would it be similar to GTA? Maybe. But that would be fascinating to see, man. It would be. You're saying Red Dead 2 style open world, mid 20th century Hong Kong setting, Max Payne, Trey Pang style gunplay with a proper hand-to-hand combat system. we have GTA already. Again, I think I messed up the way I presented. I'm not saying copy GTA. Like, I'm not saying Sony make your own GTA 6. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, if we look at Rockstar as like the kind of gold standard of simulated open worlds, or even like with something like Cyberpunk, I would like to see Sony like try to make a game like that, like on that level. I don't know that they would be able to, though, dude, to be honest, because one of their teams, I don't know who it would be, one of their teams would have to grow so large and it would take so long. I see people mentioning like Sleeping Dogs. Like, yes, something like that. Something like that. That'd be so cool. I mean, they could maybe do that with like a new Infamous game one day. Be very, very, very interesting. All right, let's see where we're at. So that does it for all the topics. So here's what we're going to do. Is that true? Microsoft owns the true crime IP? Dude, that's funny. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to keep the stream going for a couple more minutes. Again, we're going to be closing out the stream early pretty much because I got all of my topics. But listen, we're sitting at 14 members. We're 11 away from hitting our goal. It's up to you if you guys want to hit that goal. If we hit that goal, like I said, I'll bring Boss in. We'll give him some treats. I'd really appreciate if we can hit 25. If not, it's all good. I appreciate all the support you guys have shown today. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang out with the chat for a couple minutes. And then we're going to move over to the members lounge. I do owe you guys a members lounge today. So we'll let me see. Yeah, so we'll go on for about like 5 more minutes here. Ninja Raiden says, bro, Yakuza is the PlayStation GTA without all the boring shit. I'll take those games over GTA any day. Yeah, I guess I didn't consider that. I'm not really too familiar with the Yakuza games, but yeah, it's interesting to think. I guess you're kind of right in a way. I mean, I don't know that they're necessarily directly comparable, but people do really like the Yakuza games. Space Gambler saying you like GTA 4 and 5. I mean, I like them too. I like GTA 5 a lot. I had a lot of fun with that game. I am very excited for GTA 6. Truthfully, I am. I mean, I'm not sure. I guess there are some people who aren't excited for it, but I think that game's gonna suck up all the oxygen in the room, dude. You can see Infamous becoming more sandbox, like where you can steal cars and go to strip clubs and buy guns, etc. I mean, that basically sounds like turning Infamous into GTA, bro. Yeah, you could do all that stuff, but you have some powers as well. That's funny. If GTA 4 had the driving physics of GTA 5, I would like it better than GTA 5. Yeah, GTA 4's story was actually really good. It was a little bit more mature, a little bit darker. The story of GTA 5 looks like it's going to be interesting, or 6, I mean, looks like it's going to be pretty interesting. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be getting anything from the Getaway ever again, unfortunately. London studio was shut down recently by Sony, and you know, they were the ones who made the Getaway. I mean, I guess Sony could give the IP to somebody else, but I don't think it's happening. Sadly. Yeah, RIP London studio. The Getaway was so good. I mean, I remember years and years and years ago on the PlayStation 2, I tried playing the Getaway, and I was struggling with it. I hardly remember it. Truthfully, like, I hardly remember it, but I do remember trying to play it. Mr. B, yeah, I feel your pain there, dude. You're saying you're not a fan of the GTA shooting controls, a bit too clunky for your liking, but the rest of the game makes up for it. Yeah, it's weird because I remember prior to GTA 5, I was playing Max Payne 3, and Max Payne 3 had a multiplayer as well. The shooting mechanics in Max Payne 3 were fantastic. They, like, probably the best shooter, third-person shooter I've ever played. Like, it doesn't get any better than that. And I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I was like, man, I hope GTA 5 has the same shooting mechanics and the same feel as Max Payne 3. And I knew that wasn't going to happen because it's just, no, dude, it's not. And so going from Max Payne 3 to GTA 5, I was like, yeah, this feels like a bit of a step down when it comes to the actual shooting mechanics. But Max Payne's Max Payne, you know? Like, can't expect the shooting mechanics of GTA to be the same. But I am interested to see what it's going to be like in GTA 6, how much changes, you know, how many improvements are made. I remember when I played Red Dead Redemption 2, it did feel a bit clunky, but it felt like it was trying to actually be, you know, more simulation in that way, heavier. Antonio Lopes, you're saying Scarface was actually one of the best movie to game adaptations for the time. They basically made a sequel. It was pretty ahead of its time. I never knew that. That's interesting. It'd be cool if we saw more stuff like that. A sequel to it. That's, wow. I would have never known that. Yeah, I remember they made a Warriors game. I think Rockstar made that game too. All right, so I'm going to close this out at the 2 hour and 25 minute mark. We got one more minute. I'll use this last minute to close out the stream, guys. Again, if you are a channel member, a members lounge, a members lounge is going up right after this stream ends. We're going to hang out over there for a little bit. So if you are a member, I hope to see you there. I also just want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I know it's extremely slow. Trust me, I'm feeling it too. There's just not a whole lot to talk about. So to anybody who tuned in, thank you guys. And especially those of you who dropped some membership gifts today, as well as those of you who dropped some super chats. This channel is fan funded. I rely on you guys to continue to do this. So to everybody who supports directly, thank you so much for that. I also just want to ask one more time as you're heading out to please hit that like button. We're sitting at 200 likes. It helps the channel. And I also want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter for doing the timestamps for the stream. But guys, that does it for this stream. Again, the members lounge is going up in just a minute. I'll catch my members there. And to everybody else, I will catch you guys in the next proper stream. So that does it. Until next time, guys, take care.